I'm here today to talk about secrets. Everybody has secrets. Some are humorous, some are embarrassing, some are rather dark. There are some secrets that people will even take to the grave with them. I'm here today to talk about the most public secret of all, pornography. 12% of the websites on the internet are pornographic in nature. That's over 12 million websites. Every second, over $3,000 is being spent on pornography. Every second, 28,000 internet users are viewing pornography. 40 million Americans are regular visitors to porn sites. That's why it's the most public secret of all. Because a majority of the world is looking at pornography. One of the secrets that porn has is that 1 in 3 women look at porn regularly. 70% of men aged 18 to 24 visit porn sites in a regular month. 70% of all men aged 18 to 24. In the United States, internet porn pulls in $2.84 billion per year. Worldwide, it pulls in almost $5 billion a year. And that's not including sexual magazines, that's not including in-room hotel purchases, that's not including things like that. If you combine all of the porn industry, it makes over $94 billion a year. 2.5 emails per day are pornographic. Almost 10% of all emails. 25% of all search engine requests are pornography related. That's 68 million porn searches a day. Just to show you how large 1 million is, let me read this to you. 1 million seconds equals 11.6 days. 1 million minutes equals 1.9 years. 1 million inches is 15.7 miles. 1 million feet equals 189.4 miles. If you take 1 million pennies and you stack them on top of each other, it's almost a mile high. That means that pornography, if you relate it to pennies, that's 68 miles worth of pennies every single day. 35% of all internet downloads are pornography. That's almost half of all things that are downloaded. The top 3 things that pop up when people search for pornography are these words. It's sex, adult dating, and porn. And sex pops up 75 million times. Adult dating pops up 30 million times, and porn pops up 23 million times. Utah has the highest subscription rate to pornography at 5% of users. That means that when these people do their monthly budget, pornography takes a portion of their check because they're subscribed to it. That's how much they want it. 34% of internet users have experienced unwanted exposure to porn, either through pop-up ads, misdirected links, or emails. There are 116,000 searches for child pornography every single day. I want you to realize that these people who search for child pornography are searching for people like your little brothers and your little sisters. The average age at which a child first sees pornography online is 11 years old. And wouldn't you know it, most of them see it while they're doing homework. 20% of men admit to watching porn online at work. 1 out of 5 men watch porn at work. 13% of women do. The least popular day of the year for viewing pornography is Thanksgiving. But the most popular day of the week for viewing pornography is Sunday. There are a lot of things about the porn industry that are not concealed. They're not hidden. Everybody knows about them. But the porn industry does have some secrets. And I want to expose a few. One of the secrets that the porn industry has is a lot of people think that porn stars make a lot of money. People think that porn stars make millions of dollars. They drive nice cars. They do a lot of really cool, extravagant things. Did you know that the leading porn actresses and actors make about $80,000 to $100,000 a year? And there's only about 15 to 20 porn actresses at one time that make that much money. The rest of the lead porn actors and actresses make only about $1,000 per scene. The majority of the porn industry, the majority of porn girls are what are called B girls, and they make $300 a scene. Newcomers to the porn industry only make about $150 a scene. They don't make much money. Some other secrets. Rocco, this is a quote from a guy in the porn industry. His name is Rocco. He's been in 600 films and he's been with over 3,000 women. He says that every professional in the porn world has herpes, male or female. He's saying that everybody in the porn industry that's a celebrity, that's a professional, all of them have herpes. There's not one of them who doesn't. Dr. Sharon Mitchell says that we talked about all of the celebrities in the porn industry. All of them have herpes. Well, for all the other ones, 66% of porn performers have herpes. A vast majority of them. 12 to 28% have other STDs like gonorrhea, syphilis, anything like that. And 7% have HIV. Pornography is riddled with STDs. Pornography is riddled with people who will forever be marked by their decisions, by their lifestyle. Erin Moore is a porn actress, and she said the drugs we binged on were ecstasy, cocaine, marijuana, Xanax, Valium, Vicodin, and alcohol. And I put this photo here because just like her, many of us wear a mask. Her mask was ecstasy, cocaine, marijuana. That's what she did in order to hide how she felt about herself, the decisions that she was making. I wonder what your mask is. What are you hiding? Another quote by a former porn actress named Tanya Burleson. She says, "Guys are punching you in the face. You get ripped. Your insides can come out of you. It's never ending. You are viewed as an object, not as a human with a spirit. People do drugs because they can't deal with the way they're getting treated." The porn industry is filled with horror stories. It's not glam and glitz and fun and rainbows in the porn industry. People are abused daily. People are raped daily. I want to talk about a lady. There's a story that I want to talk about. Her name is Nisa, and she's a former porn actress, and she came out and she said that she shot a scene with this guy, and she'd never shot a scene with this guy before. And she had just got an STD test done, and she came back clean. And so she went and she did this scene with this guy. And after the scene, she had to go and she had to get another STD test. Well, she found out that she had gonorrhea and syphilis in her throat. It's very obvious that the guy that she had made this scene with had those STDs, and he's the one that gave them to her. So she called her doctor, and she said, "Look, this is who I shot the scene with. He's got STDs." Well, the doctor called that guy in and gave him the prescription for the STDs so that whenever he did test for the STDs, he would come back clean, because she didn't want to lose her biggest client. But the girl who had 2 STDs was thrown under the rug and got her name trampled all over. These people don't care about, the doctors don't care about the people in the industry. They care about money. The porn industry doesn't care about you. It cares about money. The doctor didn't want to lose her biggest client. There's another girl in the porn industry, and she said that the most horrifying scene that she ever shot was with this guy, and there's a type of sexual activity in the porn industry, and it's called, well, I'm not going to tell you what it's called, but what happens is during intercourse, the man will hit the woman in the back of the head over and over. And this girl says that as she's shooting this scene, the guy intentionally wears a gold ring that is this huge diamond on it. And she said that he constantly hit her in the back of the head, and she had to stop the scene because she was in so much pain. She had to stop it over and over and over again. And the guy laughed about it the entire time. There's a very heavy emphasis on rougher and more sadistic sex within the porn industry. 51% of all pornography has aggressive acts of violence in it. This is not just sex. These women are abused and beaten and raped, and sometimes gang raped. A lot of the times gang raped in these films. But we support this industry. Pornography is not something that should be supported at all. Does anyone see a problem with this photo? Draw your attention to the finger that's covering her mouth. That finger very obviously isn't hers, but it is the hand of an adult male. This photo represents child molestation. That man is telling her to be quiet. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. What you fail to realize is that this is how pornography starts. I want to read you a quote by Dr. Mary Ann Layden. She's a women's psychologist. She said that most strippers, as with other women who work in the sex industry, are adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Research indicates that those numbers are between 60% and 80%. People say that that number is actually low. That means that 80%, up to 80% of all people in the adult film industry were sexually abused as children. She goes on to say this. These women, who when they were little girls would get into their beds each night and roll themselves into the fetal position, he would come in and peel her open. The physical and visual invasion of little girls' bodies damages them psychologically and gives them a psychologically unhealthy view of sexuality. Often, as adults, they reenact their childhood trauma by working as strippers, Playboy models, and prostitutes. The men who now, as consumers, physically and visually invade the adult women's bodies, reenact the role of the perpetrator. These women work in the sex industry because it feels like home. That's what I want you to imagine. Every time you look at pornography, think about it. These women are in pornography because they were molested as children. You indirectly support child abuse when you look at pornography. Jenna Jameson is a very, very famous porn star, and she wrote a book called How to Make Love Like a Porn Star. And in that book, she talked about an interview that she had with Howard Stern, who's he interviews people that nobody else wants to interview, basically. And he asks them raunchy questions and very honest questions. And he asked Jenna Jameson, were you molested as a child? And she said no. But in her book, she came out and she said that she lied like a rug. She said that she didn't want Howard Stern to know that she was gang raped, beaten, and left for dead. She said, I quote, I didn't want anybody to think I was in the industry because I was a victim. A lot of these girls don't get into the industry. The vast majority of these girls don't get into the industry because they would choose to. It's because that's all they've known. Jenna Jameson laid out a possible scenario for why somebody would go into the porn industry. And it goes a little like this. Step 1, teenager becomes a model. Reason? Like all teenagers, she thinks she's special. Step 2, teenager starts dating a tattoo artist and biker. Reason? He's older, badder, and allegedly wiser. Step 3, teenager becomes a stripper. Reason? Work, money, and approval of boyfriend. Step 4, teenager starts modeling nude. Reason? It's just like real modeling with the stripping added in. And step 5, teenager starts acting in softcore porn. Reason? Revenge. Most women get into the porn industry because of either bad decisions that they've made or an abusive childhood. They do it for revenge. Now that you have an idea of the effects that pornography has on its participants, on its performers, let's look at a few things that pornography does to the viewer. Number 1, watching porn decreases our sexual satisfaction. It trains us to desire the variety and designer sex of porn more than the familiar sexuality of marriage. Pornography teaches you that one scenario is not enough. You have to have multiple things. You can't just settle for one girl. You have to have 15 girls. You can't settle for 15 girls. You have to have 30 girls. They did this study where they took a rat and they dropped him in a cage. And they took a female rat who was ovulating and they dropped her in the cage as well. And the male rat went and he fertilized the female rat. And then he went down into the corner of the cage and he laid down and he was trying to go to sleep. And the female rat walked over because apparently she hadn't finished yet or whatever. Well, they took the female rat out They put a fresh female rat in that the male had not known yet, and immediately he jumped up from being tired, and he fertilized her. And they did it over and over and over again. And they did it with 20 different rats, and every time he would jump back up. That's what pornography teaches you to do. It teaches you that it's not enough. It's never going to be enough. You're always going to have something more. Number 2, watching porn disconnects us from real relationships. It trains us to detach emotional involvement from sexual experience. We might say that the real problem of pornography is not that it shows you too much sex, but that it does not show you enough. Pornography detaches you from the emotional involvement. There is no intimacy with porn. Ask any healthy married couple and they'll tell you that the real beauty of sexuality is intimacy. It's knowing that person that deep. Pornography robs you of that. Number 3, watching porn lowers our view of women. It trains us to see women as sexual commodities and not as people created in the image of God. They did this study called the Great Porn Experiment, and they have 3 groups of people. 1 is the massive exposure group, 2 is the intermediate exposure group, and 3 is the control group. They showed the massive exposure group 32 pornographic films over a 16-week period. They showed the intermediate exposure group 16 porn films over a 16-week period, and the control group, they showed no porn. Well, this is what they found. They asked the massive exposure group, do you support women's rights? 25% said yes. They asked the intermediate exposure group, do you support women's rights? 48% said yes. And then they asked the control group who had viewed no pornography, do you support women's rights? And 71% said yes. Interestingly enough, 46% of those who had viewed the pornography, there was a 46% drop in women's rights support. Interesting as well, this was mixed men and women. 30% of women who viewed the pornography said that they don't support women's rights either. It's crazy. Number 4, watching porn desensitizes us to cruelty. It numbs us to the seriousness of verbal and physical aggression. They did this scenario with that group, that same experiment. They gave him a scenario. Suppose a guy is walking in the woods, he's hiking, and he sees a girl. And he's attracted to the girl, so he takes the girl and he rapes the girl. Well, the cops come and they get him, and they go to put him in jail. How long should he serve? Well, they asked the control group who had looked at no pornography, how long should he be there? They said 12 years. They asked the middle group, how long should he be there? And they said 100 months. They asked the massive exposure group who had viewed the most pornography, how long? And they said a little over 6 years, 6.5 years. Crazy. A 6-year drop based on what they had watched. Porn allows you to take women from people who are created in the image of God and lump them with just ordinary common crap. Number 5, watching porn makes us want to watch more porn. It taps into the neurocircuitry of our brains, making us desire the rush of sexual energy from porn again and again. There's not just okay, I'll just do it this one time and then I just won't do it again. That doesn't exist in pornography. You will do it over and over and over and over and over again until you make a decision, you stand up and you say, no, I'm done with this crap. They did a study at all these North American universities. They asked them, how often do you look at porn? And 51% of men said that they search up to 5 hours a week for pornography. 5 hours a week. They asked another group, 11% of men look up to 20 hours of porn a week. That's a part-time job. And 2% look for pornography for over 20 hours a week. Notice, women, 16% of women search up to 5 hours a week for pornography too. So it's not just men. But porn makes you come back over and over and over. I'm here today to talk to you about pornography, but not just that. I'm here to challenge you to question an industry that doesn't just show you sexuality. It's not something that you just do for fun. It's an industry that brutalizes women, beats them, treats them like crap, and when it's done, it says, oh, whatever. You worked for us for how long, but we don't even care. Just go away. You're used. You're old. We don't like you. We just wanted your money. We also discussed that this industry directly or indirectly supports child molestation because most of the women that are in this industry are sexually abused. When you click the mouse next time, I want you to think about that little girl. Her, that porn performer that you're watching as a little girl. And the things that she had to go through and the nightmares that she had because somebody wouldn't respect those boundaries. I want you to know that porn doesn't care about you at all. It just wants your money. The porn industry makes more than the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball combined. I want to talk to you about loving one another. Because if you really love people, then you'll serve people. You'll put people first. When you look at pornography, that's not loving people. That's saying that your needs go before anybody else's experience. Porn will ruin your life. Porn will ruin other people's lives, and it already does. My challenge is not to get you to my challenge is just for you to look at an industry that is openly disgusting and to stand up for what's right. Think about your little sister and think about your little brother. And think about what would happen if you saw them in that industry and how you watched them get beat and how you watched them get abused and how you watched them get hooked on drugs and end up, the majority of porn performers end up killing themselves because they OD. So it's time to make a decision, to stand up, to do what is right. It's time for you to stop thinking about just yourself and put other people in front of you. If you say you love people, then prove it. That's all I'm asking.